From the Mumbai studios of Republic TV, it's time for Arnab Goswami on the debate.
Arnab Goswami on the debate at 9.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. So today, let me start with the good news first. And there is really a lot of good news this Saturday. Firstly, we have seen a spike of just 6.9% in the last 24 hours in terms of COVID cases. Now, remember, by way of a comparison, this number was 10.9% yesterday, and it was 17% and 20% a week and 10 days back. So let me start by saying congratulations, India. You are doing really, really well. The lockdown is truly, remarkably, but most importantly, visibly effective now. The spike in our active cases is 7.9%, and our recovery rate is 13.6%. The figures I have with me are that 47 districts in India have recovered, not just Mahe in Puducherry and Kodagu in Karnataka, but 45 other districts have also shown no positive case in a fortnight. That's really big. So this momentum should not be compromised. Our new cases spike is also the lowest in 13 days now. But most importantly, our doubling rate, which is the approximate number of days in which the existing number of COVID cases is doubled, is 9.7 days. What an improvement from just 6 days, just 2 days back. So what does every statistic tell you? Every statistic tells you that you are winning, the lockdown is winning, and all the people who have been doing everything possible in the last 3 days to break your confidence are being proven wrong. All the people who say that the lockdown will not work effectively, that the lockdown is, as the Vadra family says, just a little pause. Please ask those people that today the lockdown is the cure. There is no vaccine, there is no guaranteed antibody, and there isn't hospital space for 135 crore people. So the only effective treatment as of now, which is the lockdown which we have implemented, is something that we have to carry through, and carry through with patience and tenacity, and prove that in the world's largest democracy, we have the discipline, that we have the rigor, and I will also add that we have every right and ability to be tough with the violators, which is what we'll talk about tomorrow and day after. But let me take you now to what we will debate tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, today I have a clear case of nationalism driving economic policy. Solid economic pushback vis-a-vis China. Trump can only talk about it. Narendra Modi has actually done it. Trump talks big vis-a-vis Xi Jinping. Narendra Modi has the guts to take them on. And yes, it takes guts to take on the Chinese directly. And that is exactly what our government has now done. It has today issued 2 laws, and here it is, viewers. It's Government of India, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Department of Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, FDI Policy Division, a press note number 3, which innocuously many people would have ignored, but here is why this is so important and we are talking about this tonight. This new rule makes it impossible for Chinese economic vultures and Chinese business predators from gobbling up Indian companies which may be in a period of distress during COVID. This rule, put out by this two-page note by the Commerce Ministry today, is the single greatest act of economic nationalism by any government across the world today. Other governments are beginning to think about acting. I have a whole list of countries across the world who are thinking about tightening FDI rules. Italy, Spain, Australia. Germany is thinking about protecting itself from foreign takeovers. Parts of Canada are taking measures to protect the local economy. The US is focusing on protectionism, but we are very direct. We've made it very clear today, any Chinese investment in India will go through special approval, which means no automatic rule. This is a game changer in the way a country defends its economic interest, and we should all be proud that our government has had the foresight and the courage to implement this. That's debate number 1 today, viewers. The special measures of the government, nationalism driving our economic policy, is our debate number 1 tonight. And on debate number 2 this evening, doctors, experts, a lot of people have begun raising serious questions about what exactly Mamata Banerjee is doing. I think she's hiding a lot, and she should know that eventually the people of Bengal will be the ones who lose out while she tries to drive political advantage. All this and more is coming up, and here are the headlines this Saturday evening on the debate tonight. With a 7% spike in the last 24 hours, India records 14,792 COVID cases. Bold economic decision driven by nationalism checkmates China. India tweaks its FDI policy to stop predatory Chinese takeovers. Government approval is now compulsory for all FDIs from neighboring countries. The move protects firms facing COVID stress from Chinese takeovers. The numbers are out and the Tablighi Jamaat cannot deny it. There are close to 4,300 Markaz-related cases in India. Delhi and Telangana are the most affected by the Tablighi Jamaat. Lockdown violations continue unabated in Mumbai, even as it reports 184 new cases. And doctors unite to question Mamata Banerjee on COVID numbers in West Bengal. Ladies and gentlemen, India is well aware of the economic impact of COVID-19. The government knows that this lockdown comes at a huge price. But it has not let these vulnerabilities drive its economic policies. Today, with a direct eye on China, the government has majorly tweaked foreign direct investment norms, a bold decision that will not only protect the startup ecosystem, but will also put a stop to all opportunistic Chinese businesses and Chinese funds from taking advantage of any economic problems in India due to the corona situation. Here are the full details, where we stand today, and then we'll debate.
Over 14,700 people in India have tested positive for coronavirus. In the last 24 hours itself, we've seen a spike of 957 cases, which is a little less than 7%. What's looking good for the country is the recovery graph, which is getting better each day. Over 2,000 people have recovered. That makes it 14% of the total number of infections. And as far as the fatality rate is concerned, it's less than 3.5%.
अब तक का डिटेल डेटा अगर हम देखें तो देश में 1992 लोग क्योर हो चुके हैं, जिसके द्वारा अगर हम देखें तो हमारी ओवरऑल क्योर परसेंटेज इज समथिंग अराउंड 13.85%. कल से टोटल 991 एडिशनल पॉजिटिव केसेस आए हैं, which takes our confirmed cases to 14,378 cases. Last 24 hours में 43 न्यू डेथ्स भी रिपोर्ट हुई हैं, taking our total death toll to 480 deaths.
These numbers suggest we are on the right track when it comes to fighting the pandemic. Now, coming to the economic aspect of it, a slew of measures have been announced by the government in the last few days. And now, in a big decision, the government has amended foreign direct investment rules to make it difficult for predatory Chinese companies from taking over firms facing COVID stress in India. So now, government approval will be needed for all Chinese investments. This approval will be needed for nations with land borders with India.
No hostile takeovers, India first, Indian companies first, Indian interests first. That's the message that the government has sent out by amending its foreign direct investment policy.
7 reasons possibly have prompted this move by the government. 1. Chinese investors have pumped nearly 4 billion in greenfield investments. 18% of India's 30 unicorns are funded by China. Even EU, US and Australia have checked Chinese FDI. China has made investments to the tune of 24,000 crore in startups in the last 3 years. It is aggressively trying to access Indian markets. 16 Chinese FPIs have invested in top-tier stocks. And Chinese own 1% or more in 9 banks and infra firms.
It's not just about India. I gave you the example of Japan. Similar sentiments are coming from Europe. America has had a standing feud with the Chinese on trade, and it's going to get reflected in terms of post-COVID measures. So this decision of India is essentially one of the measures, one of the ways by which we are telling the Chinese that, see, we will kind of keep a watch, keep a check post, so to say, on the kind of funds flow that are going to come.
Not only is China facing flack globally for the way it has handled the corona pandemic, countries across the world are in fact exercising caution when it comes to dealing with China. India too has now sent a clear message. Nationalism will drive our economic policy, and even in the face of vulnerability, India will not tolerate vulturism vis-a-vis China. Let's debate.
Well, the rest of the world talks about taking on China. India effortlessly takes on China. And the Chinese have no way to respond, because the beautiful way in which this note of the Commerce Ministry is phrased, it doesn't even mention China once, Abhishek. And yet it is completely China specific. So the hashtag today is very appropriate. India checkmates China. What can the Chinese do in response, except whine perhaps?
Well, Arnab, I thought that exactly on the lines that this was beautifully worded and would have got the Chinese off guard. And this is the kind of diplomacy with economic nationalism. More than an economic measure, this is a diplomatic move to send across a message to the world that the Chinese can be really tackled, because, there is a sentiment around the world that, oh, China is so big, you can't take it on. And now we have India taking this opportunity to send across a message that, fine, they might be big, they might have money, but then you can create moats, you can take preventive and protective measures to make sure that there is no predatory and hostile takeovers on the economic side, given the situation we are in.
Yeah, absolutely. You see, China is, and Jim Rogers, for some reason, who joins us from Singapore, is perennially anti-India and pro-China. He's chairman of Rogers Holdings. Jim, you analyze markets and economic steps across the world. I thought that today you would be congratulating the Indian government for delivering China an uppercut without even naming it. I mean, this is beautiful. India has kept its economic nationalism driving economic policy, and this is a big pushback vis-a-vis China. And you know what? we can do without any Chinese money. There is no free run for any foreign country to prey on Indian economic interests. After the COVID pandemic is over, India will emerge as one of the strongest, most robust economies. And there cannot be any exploitation of Indian market or industry at any cost. What makes you unhappy, Jim?
Arnab, I know you have to get people to watch your show, but please stop saying that. I love India. You know that. I've written about it, et cetera, et cetera. I don't like protectionism in India. India needs outside money. It needs outside ideas. And you've been closing off for decades. You need to open up. What's wrong with you? Suppose Russia said you cannot invest in Russia or Iran or Myanmar or some of your neighbors. What would you do? You'd say, oh, this is wonderful.
Well, Jim, thank you. I don't have to take any position for people to watch my show. By the grace of the Lord Almighty, enough people watch my show anyway. As far as protectionism is concerned, I'd like to really pit you on versus a former Indian Commerce Secretary. And only point I'll make before Ajay Dua comes in to respond to you is that, for God's sake, Jim, get real. We are the most open-minded. We're the most liberal. It is the Chinese who are the most protectionist. Chinese reduce their imports. Their imports account for 19% of GDP in 2018. They're the ones who brought it down from 30% in 2006. The Chinese are nervous. They don't open up their economy. They close their borders. They still have protection measures against foreign investments in their banks. They have protectionist measures in place, allowing foreign banks to only operate with barriers in functioning. And all other banks are state-owned in the country. And they want to eat into and increase their stake in HDFC Bank here in India. Come on, Jim, you should know better. The Chinese are a bunch of nervous protectionists, not India. We're only giving it back. I think Ajay, you want to argue with me? Okay.
You should know, but you should know better, for goodness sake. You need money. Your banking system is tottering. You need money. And let's say the Chinese are dead wrong. What difference does that make? You mean because China's doing something wrong, India's going to do something wrong? Now? Two wrongs do not make a right, for goodness sake. You know that.
Dr. Ajay Dua is a former Indian Commerce Secretary who wants to respond to you. Please have the patience to hear him. Yes, Dr. Dua.
All that I want to say, Arnab, is that we have not prohibited investment from China or any of our neighboring countries. We had these restrictions in place already from Pakistan and investment from Bangladesh. All that we have done today is to extend it to the remaining 6 countries with whom we have a border. We could have easily said that we are prohibiting investment from all of them or one of them. What we have done is we would like to not it be on the automatic route. That means without any permission, money comes in and we get to know about it later on. But we would like to know that when the money is coming in and whether that money has to be vetted from security or public order point of view.
Absolutely.
This was all that the FIPB, our Foreign Investment Promotion Board, used to do till it was abolished in January 2018, or about 2 years ago, or 2.5 years ago. So if we are, what treatment we can give to Bangladesh, which is a very friendly country with us and with whom we have close relationships ever since it was formed in 1971, I don't think any country can be
Jim,
to it.
Jim, as I open with you, I open the debate with you. There are a lot of other panelists, but I'll tell you one thing, Jim, and hear me on this, right? You will realize this 6 months to 1 year from now, and let me make the following prediction about my country. My country today is a confident country. We are a country, we know the opportunities, the market is ours, the opportunities are ours. You, Jim, know the talent is ours. You know our geostrategic location is ours. You know the maturity of our markets is ours, our democratic institutions, but most importantly, scale and size, Jim. Let me tell you, Jim, you're going to have to reckon to deal with a different India very soon. We are moving so fast. And of course, the steps that you're taking, I don't know, Jim, why you don't read the changed India. This is not the India you're used to dealing with 20 years back, which allowed Chinese imports at the cost of local industry. This is a different leadership. We're leading the world, Jim. The world is changing right before your eyes. Even where you sit tonight, Singapore will have to deal differently with our country. Our growth map is absolutely mapped out. There are going to be two economic superpowers post-COVID, Jim. Read it from me. China and India. And each country will defend each other's interests. We are giving the right stimulus. We have given the right financial liquidity. And the economic activity which was halted has been ring-fenced from hostile takeovers. You must realize tonight, I know heart of heart you know it, but you must say tonight that you're absolutely amazed at the nature of the Indian economic decision-making. Have the honesty, come on, Jim, have the honesty to say this is a brilliant response. What will you lose? What will you lose?
Arnab, if everything you said is true, what is India afraid of?
Nothing.
You just said you're one of the great countries in the world. Why are you closing off? Why are you afraid of
We're not closing.
Russia? Why are you afraid of
we're
Russia?
not closing. Are we closing, Aryaman Sundaram? I think I think he's using the wrong words tonight. We're not closing. We are talking to the world on our own terms.
Like to know.
This is not closing. Aryaman Sundaram's a top corporate Supreme Court lawyer. He's going to tell you tonight, this is not closing. This is telling the world, this is India, Bharat. We don't close. We are doing business with the world on our own terms.
Arnab,
please tell Jim, reform him. Aryaman.
Arnab, I find it highly ironical. I find it highly ironical that the country which gifted the world COVID is now going to be the country which seeks to make the maximum economic profit out of it. Without a doubt, while an open international market is encouraged by every economic principle which countries are following today, at the same time, one cannot forget that charity does begin at home. Look, whether we like to accept it or not, the Chinese financial strength today is such that they're able to penetrate every single country and businesses in every single country. India itself was, and I repeat, and I emphasize, was protected to an extent to enable our country to get the economic strength it needed, which is why we had the various FDI regulations. Now, don't forget that constitutionally and otherwise, it is well open to the government of India to decide on the exigencies of a situation whether to bring a curb on foreign investment or not. And one of the very great reasons to bring a curb on foreign investment is if it's going to affect the domestic economy in any way. And I think it is imperative, it is the duty of this country to protect its own domestic economy in such a way to ensure that it does not in any way affect our future economic prospects and encourage the economic prospects of another country. Internationalism is one thing, but let's not forget that nationalism is also equally important.
Absolutely.
And I absolutely laud the government of India's decision in this regard.
We're going to open up to debate. But, Jim, you're welcome to stay if you choose to. But I'd only say one thing to you tonight. You know, people like you can't deal with the directness and nationalism of Narendra Modi. You are not used to it. You personally have been trying to deconstruct Mr. Modi. You must remember, different dispensation, different country, Jim, different confidence, and a different future. You have to understand. You have to understand the world is changing around you. The world is changing right around you. Better you read the signals, Jim. Better you read the signals. We would like to respond so that you know we are a democracy. We always give everyone a right to respond, Jim.
Arnab, I repeat what I said. If all of that is true, what are you afraid of? Why are you closing off Iran? Why are you closing off Russia? Why are you closing off your neighbors?
We're not
What's wrong
closing off
with you?
Russia. We're not closing off Russia. We are not closing off Iran.
Post-COVID,
We are not. We are not.
We are closing off.
We are not closing out to anyone. Okay, Zafar is responding. We're opening the debate right now. Zafar Islam, who's been an international banker in the past, has worked earlier with the Deutsche Bank, and now is a spokesperson of the BJP. He wants to respond to you. Zafar, go ahead. And then it's an open debate.
All I want to tell, thank you, Arnab. All I want to tell Mr. Jim and the rest of the panelists and the people who are watching this very famous program, that the Honorable Prime Minister once again has demonstrated that the national interest is a paramount importance for him. And he doesn't care whether mighty or otherwise. He will always first safeguard the national interest at every situation, and this is what he has demonstrated once again. Today's decision is a very bold decision, and this was very clearly demonstrated that the Honorable Prime Minister is, and he will always protect Indian industries, Indian businesses, and something
Shall
which
we
Indian
open the debate?
businesses was looking this kind of decision from the Prime Minister. The trust factor.
Okay, we have to open.
Just 10 seconds. Post-COVID, as you rightly predicted, that the trust factor is diminishing between the rest of the world and China. And India is going to be the biggest beneficiary. That's why China chose to invest large amount of foreign direct investment in India.
Let me introduce.
This will have to go through our muster.
Okay. We're going to open the debate right now. 1 second. I'd like to just do a formal introduction. Of course, Ariman Sundaram, that was Zafar Islam. Nasir Salim is managing partner Flexi Capital. That's Nasir. Thank you, Nasir. Akash Jindal, well-known economist on his right. Professor Arun Kumar, bottom left of the screen, senior economist. Sunit Chopra, loves China, he's from the CPM. Syed Aslam will join us. We have with us Surendra Chauhan, and Rajiv Chawla is founder and chairman of IMSME of India, Integrated Association of Medium and Small Enterprises of India. Now, viewers, shall we open up to debate? Okay, one statement from me.
We do not need Chinese money.
Okay, Akash Jindal is on the debate. Akash Jindal is opening with Arun Kumar. Go on, Akash and Arun.
Arnab, we do not need Chinese money. I would say it once, twice, thrice. We do not need Chinese money. Yes, I salute our government for what they have done. Nationalism should be our priority. Other countries have been protecting their economy, so should we. We have a right to protect our economy, and in current time, the decision is the very right decision. Though the words which have been mentioned is all countries which have land borders, but I personally believe, my personal feeling is that we need protection from Chinese money. Our economy is growing, we are increasing. IMF has clearly said India is going to grow this year also 1.9%, where the rest of the world is going to reduce by 3%. So India is performing. Our government has tackled the COVID-19 situation very well. The lockdown has been effective, as you have rightly said. We have reduced the number of issues. Now, initially, we gave in a huge package. Then RBI stepped in. Now also RBI has given liquidity infusion, given money to the institutions, given money by reducing reverse repo to the banking system. I think I would salute our government and our Prime Minister for doing everything right.
Arun Kumar, where okay, Akash, let's hear from Arun. Arun, do you have any opposition to this massive safeguard for Indian companies and the economy at the time of COVID? We all know the context of it. The People's Bank of China recently raised its stake in HDFC from 0.8 to 1.01% this March by buying 1.75 crore shares, right? Now, what we've done will ensure that the Indian banking system, Indian media, Indian digital companies are all safeguarded from creeping acquisition, because there will be cash flow issues at this time. There can be very, very sort of, opportunistic elements in China which creep in at this time. There has to be no compromise of Indian companies. Isn't this a great thing that the Modi government has done? Professor Arun Kumar.
So I agree with you that we have to defend our national interests, and our companies should not be taken over by foreign interests. That's absolutely paramount, But I think what we need to realize is the context. Today, the rate of growth of the economy is very far down. Only 25% of the economy is working. We are saving. Our investments have turned to almost zero. Now, it is in this situation that we are threatened because our stock markets have declined dramatically. And that threat can come not only from China, but also from the tax havens. Large amount of funds are waiting in tax havens to take opportunistic advantage. And even China can move through tax havens to invest. So I think what we needed to do was not only mention the neighboring countries, but also mention other foreign direct investment that could come into critical areas. We should define what are the critical areas where we don't want, greater amount of foreign direct investment or portfolio investment, which can be used to take over the companies. So I think rather than just mentioning the border areas, we needed to expand it, further so that we could defend our companies from other hostile takeovers that are also possible. So in a sense, while maintaining relations with China, because at this point, our exports and imports are going to be in great trouble. RBI has already said that our exports are falling by about 35 to 40%. Next month, they'll fall even further because a large number of countries are actually in lockdown. So we will have a balance of payment problem, and therefore we will need some foreign direct.
I think you're making the point, and Nasir wants to respond to you. Nasir Salim will go one by one. You're making the point that India will be short of cash, and the money that could come from China could be useful at this time.
Not China. I'm not saying just China. I'm saying that investment could come from somewhere, but we need to protect our critical interests, and we must define what those critical interests are, and there we must put restrictions.
May I, Professor, respond to you simply by saying that the fact is that the Chinese have not pumped in much money into India in the last 20 years. 2.34 billion, 14,846 crores FDI between April 2000 and December 2019. Secondly, the danger as of now are hostile takeovers. Our e-commerce sites, our payment vehicles, our digital companies, our media industry. The media industry is also struggling at this time. So what the Chinese will do could be that they will make strategic investments in sectors where they have access to voluminous amounts of information and influence. Nasir, we all know that the Chinese believe in the art of war. Influence and information are the two things they are going after. They are not here to save the Indian economy. They want entry into the Indian economic, banking, digital and media ecosystem. And the ones they will go after will be the micro, small and medium enterprises who are seeking help from the government. So Nasir, would you like to respond to the point made by Professor Arun Kumar? Viewers, this debate is about how the Indian government is working to a plan to tell China, look here, this far and no further. You cannot enter India without asking the government of India. And we all know this. If this safeguard were not there, the Chinese would be all over, not just making your Diwali lights, but far more than that. Nasir.
So Arnab, my quick point here is, while you summed up very well, but I must tell you, Arnab, is that today Indian equity markets are very, very attractively priced, and therefore they're far more vulnerable than what they were before COVID-19, right? You have to understand the logic that today, if you look at price-to-earning bands across large, mid and small, the first beneficiaries of all of this is the large cap companies. And therefore, for example, an HDFC Bank is at throwaway prices. And the reason why the Central Bank of China is looking at opportunistic policy is where I feel I support that this government has done the right steps so far, and they need to be more vigilant, number one. Number two, I think the biggest other point is, let's understand globally, Arnab, there will be globally all rates, global central rates will be in negative zone. And India will continue to give you huge arbitrage opportunities to come in and invest. Now, does that mean that should we not stop opportunistic investment? The point right now is, and where I tend to disagree a little bit with Professor, is that we should be open to good investment for long-term and not for opportunistic avenues. I think all monies will come back to India because there are huge opportunities available, but they should not be short-lived. You see, we have seen a lot of FII participation as far as Indian equities are concerned. But today, I must tell you, the Indian economy is far more resilient because we see a lot of DII money coming in, which is domestic institutional investments also. But at the same time, I personally feel we should and we need to be more protective. It's absolutely fine. If at one angle we are saying we want to lock down borders, why can't we not partially control our economic funding, for example?
Rajiv Chawla and Surendra Chauhan wish to respond to you. One thing, Rajiv, before I come to you, I believe, and Abhishek will back me up on this, of course, after you speak, the government does not come out with a note like this suddenly and without thought. There is certainly information.
Suddenly, including the lockdown.
It is not sudden, Sunit Chopra. The government works on the basis of information.
Was so sudden that 10 million people were messed up.
The Indian equity markets are at a low right now. The Chinese will want to come in and eat in. What do you benefit if that happens?
Why? The moment your equity is low and foreign money comes in, you are not going to lose. You can sit back and wait for good investment to remain.
You want to sit back and let the Chinese eat into all the Indian unicorn startups? What kind of a person are you, sir? Come on, sir. This is so against national interest. You're like, Rajiv wants to come in. I just want to complete my point, viewers. Whatever Narendra Modi has done is because, and I'm sure Piyush Goyal, who's the Commerce Minister, has given this a lot of thought. It is being done to ensure that Indian industry is safe, that nobody tries to buy us out. Yes, Rajiv. Rajiv Chawla.
Arnav, I want to compliment the government of India, and I want to share a couple of things here on this program. One, that IMSME of India, which is the representative body of SMEs in India, we were at the forefront and we were requesting the government, we were highlighting some of these issues over the last 4-5 days. Let me tell you that the government not only has taken a very right action, they have taken an extremely timely action, and within a few days, they have collected all the data, all the information from various sections, and have come out with this wonderful thing that we always wanted. There are certain vulnerable sections in economy, and MSMEs are one such. And when we heard about this takeover things happening, this buying of shares, 1.75 crore shares of HDFC, various other countries, Germany for example, is one such country, Australia for that matter, EU, everybody wants to save their institutions from hostile takeovers, and we want to compliment Government of India. This is an extremely timely step. Let me also tell you that they are not stopping competition or inflow of any funds anyway. It is just not on the automatic route now. It has to come after proper scrutiny, and that is the right decision of this government.
Absolutely.
And we compliment
Sunit Chopra is responding. One second. I will go to Mr. Dua later. Sunit Chopra is on the other side. Can I have Sunit Chopra, please? Sunit Chopra, 1 minute. Just a minute, please. Just a minute. Just a minute. Now should I open up the political debate? If Surendra Chauhan is with me.
Let's understand.
Ajay Dua, I'll just come to you, please. Can I have everyone on, please? I'll just come to you, sir. I just want to raise the issue of economic nationalism. I think it is time now, and Sunit Chopra, if you are not an economic nationalist, please say so. All those who stand with China should go to China, in my view.
In the hands of a party that doesn't know what its country is.
I think the government is working in a planned, non-haphazard and orderly manner. And let me tell you, you better decide whose side you are on. You better decide whose side you are on and whether you are on China's side, because...
Who do things in a quick way to confuse the masses.
Sir, the
Arnav, can I just respond? Can I just respond to him? Mr. Chopra, see, we are not averse to attracting investment from any countries. What we are dealing here with the intent. The whole world is... No, the whole world is dealing with, is concerned about the China's intent. So all we want, that investment should come. We have not barred investment. Instead of approval route, instead of automatic... Instead of automatic route, it should come through approval route. It should pass the government's muster before it sees the light of the day. That's what only we want. Because we want to safeguard the interests of the country. Security is important. This investment is coming with an intent. That intent must be known at upfront without compromising the government's, the country's interest. Government of India has put a condition that it should come through approval route. That's all.
I think what is causing a great deal of surprise, Zafar. I think what is causing a great deal of surprise, and I'd like Akash and Surendra Chauhan to come into the debate. I think what is causing a great deal of surprise in today's debate is the thought that the Narendra Modi government could so easily take on the Chinese. Well, I would say, why not? And you know why not? Do you know why not? Do you know why you are surprised, Surendra Chauhan? Because your party allowed Chinese imports at the cost of local industry.
I am not
because
surprised.
it has never been the All India. It has never been the All India Congress Committee. The Congress has been a China-driven party for a very long time. And what you are surprised by, Surendra Chauhan, allow me to complete. Your party has, over the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years, had one policy: work to help Beijing. Don't make me open my mouth. You even allowed vulnerable sectors like raw silk open to the Chinese. You opened, the Vadra family opened up the power sector to the Chinese. You took imports. You did not export to China. In 2014, Chinese imports were growing, but exports from India to China were dropping. Sonia Gandhi said she wants Chinese to make more money. And even in the solar sector, you want me to open my mouth? The Congress party is an extension of the Chinese Communist Party, because 80% of India's solar component supplies were hijacked by the Chinese. You ruined Indian companies. You let the Chinese companies dominate the Indian smartphone market. You ensured that Indian companies like Micromax, Lava, Carbon, all were thrown out of the race. You allowed 80% of Indian phones to be manufactured by the Chinese. You basically destroyed Indian industry to help the Chinese. How much money did the Congress party make in the process? You want me to be direct, Surendra Chauhan? Did you or did you not do all of the things that I mentioned? Have you or have you not done it?
Do you mean to say that the current government is freezing all the export and imports?
I mean to say that the Congress party sold out to China. You want me to say it directly? You sold out to China.
It is wrong. It's a wrong statement.
What do you mean wrong statement? Even during Doklam, Zafar, even during Doklam, when the Indian forces were fighting the Chinese in an eyeball-to-eyeball contact at Doklam, your leaders were having lunch with the Chinese ambassador at the Taj Hotel in Delhi.
Arnab, all the power plant which has been set up during UPA,
Prime Minister
you see, from where the turbine has been imported, all the turbines have been imported from China. At whose behest? You are very right. You were spot on, Arnab. You were spot on, Arnab. I must compliment you. You were spot on. You were direct. That the earlier government, UPA government, was facilitating all the imports from China, and all the Indian companies were asked to buy turbine from China instead of local companies. Everyone knows about it. And that's why we had always, we have less exports and more imports, and imbalance was always there. Thanks to the government at that point in time. We are trying to correct it. The Honorable Prime Minister has taken a call. This has been appreciated by every single person, except those who do not. We are not freezing it. We are bringing transparency. You have any problem with that?
No transparency.
It has to pass. It has to pass. No, we want transparency. We want from where the money is coming. What is the intent? Why the money is coming? It has to pass government's muster. That's all. It has to have government's clearance. What is the problem with you have? We are not saying that we do not want investment in the country. We do want. China does not invest. Last year we attracted the maximum investment FDI since 1947. And China did not contribute. It is primarily coming from other countries. But if China wants to invest, they will have to go through the government's muster. They will have to get approval
the
from
fact
the
is
government.
that, listen, Sunit Chopra. Sunit Chopra, one minute.
You sit in China's lab, that's why you have problem.
We are not.
Sunit Chopra, you sit in China's lab.
May I just come in? Ariman Sundaram, if we are to understand this issue with some depth, then the point to be made is we are not closing down to the Chinese. The Chinese are welcome to do business in India, but on our terms. Now, what happens is, allow me please, Ariman, you see, when you come to India to do business, you must get into a relationship. When you come into India, a question was to Ariman Sundaram. Question is, when you come to India to do business, you must do it in a way that defends the interests of the Indian people. We can't sell out to the Chinese. Now, one example, Ariman, I'll give you, and maybe you can expand on that. Maybe you can expand on that. Allow me, let me give you an example. I don't want to raise my voice. In 2008, India closed down API plants. APIs, which are the raw material for the healthcare industry, for pharmaceutical industry. It closed down the API plants because it wanted to reduce pollution, everyone saw, during the Beijing Olympics. And as a result of that, Indian drug companies had to pay 30% more. So prices of pharma company components and products in India went up 30% because the Chinese wanted to reduce pollution during the Beijing Olympics. That is a classic example of being hostage to the Chinese. The only difference we are saying, what the Modi government is saying now, Ariman Sundaram and Ratan Chadha, welcome, is that we will not be hostage to the Chinese anymore. What's wrong with that? I want one argument against not being hostage to the Chinese anymore. Ariman.
Arnab, in fact, your question, please, will this gentleman allow someone else to speak? Arnab, actually, your question answers itself. We have to understand one thing. Any government policy whatsoever has to weigh various factors, has to take into account various factors before taking a decision. Those various factors may be an immediate trade setback, it could be an immediate financial impetus, it could be any number of things. But the one thing every country has to ensure is a long-term stability which is required, whether it's economic, financial, social, whatever it is.
Absolutely.
It has to be a long-term stability. Now, what we are finding is, please let me finish. Look, by shouting, you don't get anywhere. Please, by shouting, you don't get anywhere. Let's talk about this sensibly. Hear me and then answer. All I'm trying to say is, you have to take an overall holistic approach. Today, with this COVID problem, with the financial setbacks, with everything else, our market is ripe. It is ripe for any kind of hostile takeover. It becomes very, very important to protect against that. And whether we like to admit it or not, the person, please let me finish. Don't keep interrupting. Please, kindly don't keep interrupting. I don't know who this gentleman is.
Sunit Chopra.
I think he doesn't want anyone else to speak. But let me just finish. Today, whether we want to accept it or not, China is trying to make capital not only in India but throughout the world by taking advantage of economic setbacks in various countries. And it is the duty of the government of India to ensure that they cannot steal a march in that fashion.
You know, and Sunit Chopra, let me just tell you one thing before I just want to tell you, Sunit Chopra, you claim to be a communist. I expect that you should be familiar. Sunit Chopra, you claim to be a communist. I expect that you should be familiar with the communist nation of Vietnam. And I really expect you to have, at the very least, a basic knowledge of Vietnam's spirited, nationalistic opposition to China's vulture economics, despite both nations being on the same side of the ideological fence. Mr. Sunit Chopra, are you scared of China despite being a communist from India? Why are you scared of China despite being a communist from India? And are you afraid of taking on Jim Rogers, an American capitalist who's supporting your point of view? Ironically, your view is the same as that of Jim Rogers. It's fascinating. A person who claims to be a communist from India who's not one is on the same side as that of Jim Rogers. Yes, Jim.
You asked which side.
Yes, Jim.
I'm on
Speak up.
India's side. And every country in history that is closed off has suffered.
We've not
India
closed
should
off.
not-
The
I am
only
on
nation that
India's
has closed
side.
off,
Closing off
Jim,
is
for
not
your
good.
information,
History
is
shows
China.
it.
It's China that has closed off.
Policies is what you're doing.
It's China that has, what do you mean what? On multiple occasions, who's closed off? Are American digital media companies allowed to operate in China, Jim? Don't be facetious. Ratan Sharda is on the debate. Ratan Sharda, last 1 minute of the debate. Ratan Sharda. Ratan Sharda.
Mr. Communist, Mr. Marx, India is not the only one which is trying to protect its economy. Germany, Britain, Canada, UK, Japan, Australia, everybody today is wary of China. China, which can manipulate not just WHO, it is manipulating world economy. So do you want a weak economy at this time, which is right now suffering because of shutdown, to be easily manipulated by China?
Summary.
Do you want MSME?
In summary.
Lifeblood of India?
Arnab, yes.
In
Arnab,
summary,
you know,
in
while
summary,
this
this
debate would
is...
go on. What is important?
Abhishek.
No. What is important is that Modi government, I will stick to it, that the Modi government has really sent across a message to the global community that you can take on China. You know, China is known for giving soft loans, debt, and then converting it into equity, like we have seen in the case of Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Pakistan, even Pakistan. By this decision, this was the first time, for example, Modi government decided not to join the RCEP because there also there was possibility
I
of
have to
predatory
close, but
tariff from the Chinese.
Your
and
broad
China
point is
making
well
a backdoor
understood.
entry into Indian
Viewers, this
market.
is going to be
So
talked
Modi
about
government
globally.
consistently
We're ahead of the
sending across
curve
a
in terms of
message
implementing the lockdown, and we are way ahead of the curve in terms of defending our national interest, our economic interest. Ladies and gentlemen, on debate number 2, what exactly is going on inside Bengal? In a few minutes.